Hey y'all, it's Horsethief. Welcome to the Fairy Tale Fables July monthly Day 2 tournament finals. I am joined with Yukmouth on the screen and Livy behind the scenes. And Yuck, it's Day 2 again. We've been here before. What do we have in store for us today?
Yeah, we're back with day two. These players fought their way through a field yesterday and qualified for the top eight. So we're only going to have the best of the best to be able to spectate today. Obviously, not easy to make it through day one. So congratulations already to these players just for being here today. They're going to be competing not only for a cash prize, but also for the coveted monthly tournament border, the winter border, so that they can show that off throughout the month, and when they're on ladder, and it'll be nice to be able to show off that you're the
Mhm.
winner. And speaking of winners, we do have last month's winner back in Give Free Roll back, as well as 7 other worthy competitors. Let me mention, to determine our winner today, Horse, we're going to use the race format. I'm
Yep.
personally a big fan of the race format. You want to go through and explain that to anybody that doesn't already know what that is?
Yeah, absolutely. We have used the race format now every single tournament finals that we've done. However, it changed last month, and something unlikely also happened last month with that change. But previously, the way that this has worked, you've got to, you get 10 points for a first, and you get points for finishes all the way down. You need to hit a target point number to go live. Once you are live, a first place finish wins you the whole thing, the whole shebang. Now, previously, we'd had a 16-point target to go live last month. That was increased to a 19-point target to go live. Considering you can only get 10 points for a first place finish, the only way to be live after 2 games is back to back first place finishes. And then the only way to win this thing in 3 games is back to back to back first place finishes, which, as incredibly unlikely as that seemed, one of our competitors today pulled that off last month. So we have what we expect to be a really tight race with quite a few games played, but you never know what's going to happen, Yuck.
Yeah, that's part of the fun of the race format, because you don't really know what's going to happen. You can't take it down in three, but everybody else is, going to keep an eye out on anybody that's live to try to make sure that they don't win, to extend things for themselves. So hopefully we have some excitement today. And that was exciting in a very different way than what we had anticipated last month,
Mm-hmm.
with Give Free Roll back taking game one, game two, and game three to win it all in just 3 games total. I mentioned we have Give Free Roll back. Our other competitors today are Justius, Ayane, Satan Worship, Synesthesia, Tiku Wabu, Stonehenge Druid, and Kasop. So again, congratulations to all these players. I don't know if you have anything else, Horse, before we get started, but we don't like keeping them waiting, and we don't like waiting. So I think if we can get going soon, that would be great.
Yeah, I'd say let's just get right into game one. Let's fire the lobby as soon as production is ready. I am excited. We have some names that we have seen in prior months again, some repeat names, and we have some new names on the list this time around. So I'm looking forward to watching them play.
It it looks like the players should be ready soon. They are actually firing up the lobby. We're going to start out by spectating Give Free Roll back, who, as we talked about, was the winner from last month. Not only that, was the day one point leader, which is who we like to spectate on the first game of day two. And how incredible is that, to win last month and then come into day two as the points leader? And while everybody is waiting for this lobby to get started, I just want to remind you, or just mention to you rather, that there is a crystal code available. Use
Mhm.
exclamation crystals in chat, and that'll be available during this broadcast today.
Excellent. Great call, Yuck. And we have a hero select. We got Icarus, we got Cheshire Cat, Toy Dino, and Scheherazade. Who you liking? We need points.
Yeah, I like Scheherazade. A lot of fun. Toy Dino is nice in the early game, though, with the extra hero attack, of course. But I find Scheherazade pretty interesting to play, and does have some high roll potential. But I'm just going to trust Give Free Roll back is going to know what fits this scenario, because as tournaments do tend to play out a bit differently than ladder, decisions can be a bit different. And the hero selection is very important. It's the start of your entire game. It might determine your direction throughout. And Give Free Roll back, with all the experience in tournaments, is going to know what they want to do. And we're going to go with Toy Dino straight into a young parrot.
Yeah, Give Free Roll Back is definitely going to be solid across every stage of the game because while I didn't do it yesterday, I had a habit of doing a little unofficial broadcast of day one, and I'd watch all the games play out, and I'd watch what strats people seem to be falling into most often, and just a menagerie of a lot of different gameplay styles. What I've learned is that it's very difficult. It is incredibly difficult to get through day one and to make it here into day two. And one thing we've consistently seen is get free rollback makes day two. Get free rollback often finds their way to the top of the points leaderboard too. So something's going on in this play style and in Giffrey Rollback's understanding of the phases of the game that's making them very successful.
Yeah, there's obviously an amount of RNG in a game like this, and a big part of the game is navigating through that. And Giffrey Rollback has proven time and time again to be very versed and very experienced in doing exactly that. And uh, possibly even utilizing strategies in tournaments, as we mentioned. Ladder does have some differences. So if you can use that experience, maybe that's a big part of it. But uh, any way you look at it, Give Free Roll Back has been very dominant, knows this game inside and out. And with the start of Young Parrot, and a tree on the bench, we're trying to buff this tree, and let's see if we can get at least one of these young parrots to give us value. And in fact, no, we cannot.
Oh, that is tough. I'm taking a look around right now, Yuck. I just wanted to see who else we've got playing. What else? We had Kaisop is the Guanyin that you see in the lobby. I'm looking at Tiku Wabu is our Fisher King. Stonehenge Druid is playing Sundiata. Sundiata, very strong, very strong hero early on. Ayane is currently playing the Ugly Duckling. We got Satan Warship, who is on. Just a moment. Oh no, on Sphinx. Satan Worship playing Sphinx. Taking a quick look, Jussius appears to be Savitri, and last but certainly not least, Synesthesia is piloting our Mischievous Bruni. Okay.
Great, thank you. And as you go through those, I'm looking at these heroes that have been chosen, and these are not necessarily the 8 that I would expect to see for game 1, day 2. Like Bruni, for instance, can be very good, of course. It's just not one that I would expect to be highly prioritized in a situation like this. So I'm anxious to see how that plays out for them, as well as these other choices. We have a wide range of different heroes available. This is just an interesting mix, in my opinion.
Well, I'm curious what Ayane might have been offered to end up taking the Ugly Duckling here. However, Ayane had 2 cat tokens already, and while you don't get that hero power right away with the Duckling, Ayane is going to be pretty happy to have the extra tokens around. But Give Free Roll Back finally got some value on that Smiling Sprout Young Parrot combo.
Yeah, one thing I will say that we can take away from these different hero choices is how much early game tempo seems to be valued. Bruni, Duckling, and then here we see Give Free Roll Back with Toydano. It seems like maybe these players are really highly valuing the early game, and potentially just trusting that if they can make it later into the lobby, that they can make good enough decisions to find themselves on top at the end. So we'll see. Protecting your health is a big deal, and this hero Toydano that we're watching just does that by default. So if we can continue to get value out of this parrot, then we're going to potentially try to coast our way into the later stages of the game if we can.
Well, now this is very interesting. Sunstone is a brand new treasure as of the most recent patch to the game, and Sunlight / Sunbathing is a brand new mechanic to the game. So Sunstone, it used to be the Mana Stone, but it got modified now. You still get the 2 mana, but your last slot has Sunlight too. What Sunlight is doing, it's giving because it's Sunlight 2, it's a 2/2 buff. It's giving whatever it says to that slot. But the other effect that's going on now is Smiling Sprout's bloom effects are doubled. So when Smiling Sprout gains 2 health, it gains 4 instead. When it gains 1 attack, it gains 2 instead, as long as it is in that Sunlight buff slot. So really interesting seeing the brand new mechanic immediately come into play in this game.
Yeah, and what a great combo with the tree that we've already given some stats from the young parrot. Maybe not as many as we would have liked, but if that sprout doesn't have a lot of attack, it's a lot less impactful. But with 10 attack and now gaining additional health each turn, that's going to be a force that our opponents are going to maybe struggle to deal with at this stage of the game. So we have 6 gold. We're looking at a shop that just has a little bit of everything, but nothing that jumps off the screen. Maybe we're considering an egg. Not really a turn you want to refresh the shop, but with this shop, maybe that was a consideration. In fact, we are going to take the egg and we're going to go with an item, the shield for the parrot.
Yeah, it's a little tricky here. I think I would be curious, had a young yellow bark been offered, would we pick that up? Because young yellow bark used to just give attack, but with the sunbathing effect now, it gives attack and health. We see our Sundiata opponent across the aisle, they're running a young yellow bark. I'm wondering how fast that could have piled up a stack of numbers, but you kind of got to play with what you're offered, like you said here. And it looks like we're just going to take that item and that egg and call it numbers on the board.
Yeah, on the 6 gold turn, you feel very locked into what you're offered. It's not that you can never roll that shop, but it feels very bad to do so, and often something that you try to avoid at all costs. So I'm with you. I would have loved to have seen the yellow bark sunbathing here. I think it could have been very strong. Would have been interesting to see as the new mechanic as well. But now we're into 7 gold, and I know we're both happy to see a chameleon picked up here.
Oh, I was gonna comment. You get to the turn 4 turn, but we're not even turn 4. We're 3.2. I got lost in the levels here, but you get to a level 3 turn and you find a chameleon in the shop, and I'm pretty happy about that. Now, not sunbathing the sprout. There must be a really good reason for that. You can double dip on the 2/2 buff on that last slot, but
Yeah.
the smiling sprout basically grows like an upgraded smiling sprout if you've got it sunbathing, and then if it actually gets an upgrade, then it's a double upgraded sprout.
This one seems interesting to me. The chameleon in hand to potentially catch the buff from the young parrot, and then we do have the crew member to summon it. Are we trying to get the slay from this chameleon this turn right before we level up to level 4? I'm not sure. I mean, it seems like we're not going out of our way to avoid it, and we do want to play a strong board. I just wonder, is this something we actively want to happen, we want to avoid, or are we just indifferent as long as we're winning the fights?
I think it may be the latter. It's tricky in that a lot of times when I get a chameleon, I want it to slay right away. I don't necessarily want to have to save it a turn. Sometimes I do because I'd rather it be a higher level character, but sometimes just having something that small that has to fight for me, I kind of don't mind if it fights and it slays and it turns into something better, and then I use that. Maybe I pick up another chameleon later. I'm not. I think it's probably more about we get more stats for summoning in that last slot than anything, if I had to guess right now.
All right, well, straight into the combat. We're going to see what happens. We do get some extra stats on the chameleon when the young parrot is able to hunt. The chameleon is, in fact, going to
Alpha
slay
Tanuki.
in the Tanuki. Okay, it's interesting. I think you're maybe not unhappy to have it. Is that going to be a direction that you continue down? However, that's what I'm curious to see.
Yeah, I'm really curious now. We're entering the phase of the game where stats get a lot bigger. You can put a lot more numbers on your board fairly quickly. Yuck the Yak works strangely kind of well with that Sunstone. Even though
Okay.
we're seeing the preview and stats and it won't be quite that big, it actually gets pretty good with the extra mana here.
Well, I can't complain about seeing a Yuck the Yak. I didn't know that we would see one today. I'm sure it'll be a matter of time before we also see a horse thief. So yeah, that is fun. We pick up a detective apprentice. We move the Tanuki into slot 1. We're prioritizing the slay on it as opposed to the parrot. It looks like, and yeah, I like it. The detective apprentice is nice. It combos well with our hero. The extra attack each turn when you already have 4 instances of attack is great. So yeah, this is a fun turn. It looks like we have a little bit of everything when you look at our board. We have a a tanuki, a yak, a parrot, an apprentice. Yeah, these things don't naturally fit together, but they give us some options going forward, and I think our board is fairly strong for now.
Yeah, if we know anything about give free roll back, and I didn't really quite get to where I was going, I was meandering a little bit, but the give free roll back right now is thinking about the next stage of the game, the next step, where give free roll back knows certain combos that work well together that should help get a little bit deeper into this lobby. So I gotta imagine we're thinking about that now. What angles might that be? I know that the Archdemon has recently been buffed there for improving the power of your demons and your evil board for how much damage you've taken throughout the course of the game. We haven't taken any damage yet, really.
And as you say that, we get into a fight, and our opponent has a pretty large young Kappa. We are able to trade well enough to get through it, though. So we are still at 27 health on 4.1. We're maybe going to consider another chameleon. We might be able to afford to be a little bit greedy here. I'm curious. We talked about the potential RNG and how you navigate that. Well, having just a mix of characters, as long as it gives your board enough strength to fight through this stage of the game, and this is what we've been talking about here. It does give you, some leeway and the options to figure out what your comp will be. The question then becomes, at what point do you commit to your strategy? The longer you can wait, in some ways, the better, because you get to the later game, you have access to the stronger characters, and that'll be a little easier to determine what's going to be your best route. In this case, it feels like we have done exactly that. We've left ourselves wide open here. Duelist, crew member, these things are strong naturally, but do have some potential impact all the way up into the late game.
I like this the scout, the double check, the triple check, and then the chameleon ends up in slot 1. We're thinking maybe it's a slot 5 chameleon again. If you're kind of looking for where your game might want to go, sometimes letting a chameleon point the way is a fun way to go about it, and I'm kind of liking that we're going that angle at the moment. I also like that we continue to double dip on the sunbathing buff in the final slot, this time dropping the sprout back there.
Yeah, and right now the chameleon, if it slays, will give us a level 5 character. Those level 5 characters can be quite strong, but also can start giving that direction that I was just mentioning. So I'll be curious on that. And you talked about scouting. This is something that we've watched Give Free Rollback do consistently. Scout the opponents. It's very important. You have some information available to you, use it. And one thing that I will say the Give Free Rollback does as well, if not better than anybody else that we've spectated throughout these tournaments, is sometimes opts to scout the opponent before considering any other options in the turn. So you know exactly what you're looking for within the turn based on what you saw when you scouted.
Wow, and we are just completely even power level with a look like a budding mage board across the way. We still have some information to find out here, but you're right. Give Free Rollback is showing what high level play looks like, and it involves a lot of scouting.
Well, we do see a player knocked out here. We are down to 7 players after the Sphinx has gone out relatively early here. It is a bit of a risky hero, I would say. Looks like they couldn't get anything going this time.
Yeah, GG to our Sphinx player this time around. We're looking at the lobby health, and outside of that elimination, it's not incredibly low. Guanyin doesn't surprise me to be a little bit lower on the board to start, because it takes a little bit of time for Guanyin's hero power to start to provide a lot of value. But we're entering the phase of the game where Guanyin starts getting relevant treasures fairly regularly, and it looks like Give Free Rollback wants nothing more than to transform that succubus, but out of mana.
Well, so this was an interesting sequence of events. We played the experience and then refreshed the shop with 5 gold remaining, but we didn't see any 5 cost characters, any level 5 characters when we refreshed the shop, which was when we hit level 5 thanks to the experience spell. So that was a little bit awkward, I would say. We decided to play the kiss on a character. We got the succubus, which it does look like maybe Give Free Rollback is not thrilled with that. I will say, however, Give Free Rollback does know how to navigate through some scam comps. So whether or not this is what Give Free Rollback wanted, I'm confident that it will be used effectively.
Yeah, we see this freeze on the High Demon, and High Demon used to only buff demons. However, High Demon now buffs all evil characters as of one of the more recent changes, and demons receive the aura twice. So it's going to be a pretty good pile of stats for this stage of the game after dropping that High Demon on the board. And presumably, if we find another demon next turn, then we're going to be pretty strong.
Worth noting here that the Alpha Tanuki that we got several turns ago from a chameleon has now buffed monsters attack enough for Sea Witch to have a solid amount of attack itself. So it comes in as a 10 attack range, which is pretty strong. And then also can give extra slays to the Tanuki, which is a nice combo. So we were behind there on board, but our hero attack that we've been scaling, mind you, by the Detective Apprentice is enough to get us a tie. So we're still at 27 health. And speaking of some scam things, there is a brave little Tailor. I don't know if that is a path that we want to continue going down, but it does seem like it could possibly fit. Maybe we're eyeballing the Crystal Sage, however.
Well, I saw a give free rollback tap the Yuck the Yak pair, but that doesn't seem like what we'd be going for. Now, the Crystal Sage is interesting, huh?
Yeah, it is interesting. It doesn't really feel like a mage setup. However, we do have the Sea Witch, and even if we're just reducing the cost of spells, that is a pretty nice benefit just by itself. So maybe that's the angle. I'm really curious to see where we go here. I'm not sure. The only thing I can just continue to say over and over again is that we've remained flexible and continue to give ourselves multiple paths to an end game comp. I really have no idea where this one's going to end up.
I'm curious, Yuck. Do you know who has high attack?
I have high attack.
Oh, wait, I thought I had high attack.
Oh.
Oh wait, no, I think it's give free rollback. I noticed at the very end of the last fight we needed all 32 of our damage and it tied up the fight. The high attack actually providing more value than I might have suspected, because I find that Toy Dino, you don't lose the first couple of rounds, and then unless you're playing hunters, the attack's cool, but it's only kind of helpful. It's not really as good, past level 3 into level 4 into level 5 kind of falls off a cliff, but just a little bit of attack here has gone a long way.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, the Detective Apprentice on curve. So as soon as we hit level 4, we found that Detective Apprentice, and that's been a big deal. As you mentioned, it saved us health for sure, and every bit of health can matter. In the late game, you're just buying yourself one turn. And here's Ayane on the Ugly Duckling down to 6 health. Speaking of health, it really becomes important in this fight for both players. Give free rollback, obviously trying to knock out a player. Ayane struggling to hang in there. It looks like Ayane comes up just a tiny bit short, unfortunately. And like I said, every bit of health can matter. That was only 2 damage over what was needed, right, for Ayane to survive. So that does mean we've lost our second player in this lobby. We're down to 6. We are still at very high health. The Fisher King also pretty solid health. The rest of the lobby starting to get chunked down at least a little bit as we pick up a second sage.
Yeah, we just got offered the brand new item, the Trusty Fork, but not really doing anything food-based at the moment, so not really going to help us out. But I wonder if we actually get to play stats with those Crystal Sages at any given point, or if we are entirely lined up directly toward some sort of Dr. Frank and summons, or will it somehow be a mixture of both now, picking up a Nocturne, getting some star damage mixed in, but no real way to make the Nocturne or any of these characters huge at the moment.
Yeah, we don't have mage treasures or anything, but the thing about the Crystal Sages is they are gaining attack as we're playing spells and have a decent chance of being able to slay. Then you have the Sea Witch that can help with that as well, which is, potentially going to give them stats as well as some star damage thanks to the Nocturne. So this is a nice combination of evil characters, and we've even turned the Duelist evil to get the benefit from High Demon. So we are going to be on level 6 next turn, 1 turn early, since we have played 1 experience so far. I'm with you. Like, where does this go? It seems like it could be maybe a Dr. Frank board in the end, but yeah, I'm unsure. Again, still, even 1 turn later, unsure where this ends up.
Well, I'm seeing that Sundiata board, and I'm a little nervous because I'm noticing stat lines that look like 10-10 biggest or bigger than some of our biggest stat lines. So I think we're going to need to find something here soon.
Well,
Those
when you do
hellhounds are
see
not
stats
small.
bigger than yours, the succubus is one way to try to deal with those, and the succubus gets a ton of value here in this fight.
Now, opponent's succubus not doing quite as much as ours. However, Stonehenge's succubus doing just enough to bring it to a draw in the end.
Okay,
And now we're
and here
6,
we
like you
are.
said, a turn early.
Yeah. So what do we do with that? Blackbeard is the evil character in the shop. It doesn't feel like Titania fits even with the Nocturne. So that doesn't seem to be the direction. In Ascendance, I don't think we necessarily need the Ascendance. If we had already managed a level 6 character, maybe. Not that the level 5s can't be valuable when you golden them with Ascendance, but it seems like a big cost to do so. So we do
Yeah.
pick up a pair of High Demons. There's a second Succubus if we want another pair. Or are we just pair gaming at this point?
I feel like we're pair gaming and picking up anything that does improve the power of the board. Unfortunately, the Blackbeards, we've seen 2 of them now. They just don't really fit. Now, it's going to be interesting. No, not pairing the Duelist. Because if we were to end up wanting to play more of a Dr. Frank thing, we would definitely want a Golden Duelist in the mix at some point. But we're looking, I feel like we're looking for a signpost of some sort.
Hovering the Merlin here briefly, that can be a very strong comp to get into a boost comp. Do you have time to start from square one, from scratch, by picking up a Merlin? Looks like
Oh,
no for give free roll back.
really thought we had a shot at turning our Yuck the Yak maybe into a Crystal Sage triple or a High Demon triple, but apparently it's a multi.
Okay, so I'm still not sure where this ends up. That's fun. I mean, I think that honestly is a compliment to give free roll back to play this, protect your health, and I've played and spectated so many games, and usually have a general idea of what the plan is going to be. Don't always get that right when you're spectating another player. It's always fun to try to see the game through their eyes and their lens and figure out what they're going to do. And I haven't figured it out yet. What do you think, Horace? What are we doing here?
I think we're just really taking a look at the power of Ori. Give free roll back, picked up a couple of key items to put a couple extra stats, use the extra power from Ori for a few turns and a couple of other smart plays. And we're still on the hunt. Let's see if Savitri's found more than we have. Savitri has found more than we have. There are a couple of level 6 characters on that board. However, that does not necessarily mean Savitri has beaten us this combat.
Well, we did play the spell Hermes Blessing, which allows us to attack first. That attack took out the Fire Mage on our opponent's board, which was a good one for us. It does lead to a tie, so we're not dealing damage to our opponents maybe as much as we would like. We have had a lot of ties in this one, which Toy Dano does lend itself to that. It leaves us at a lot of health, but also leaves some of our opponents still very healthy.
I'm pretty sure I noticed Guan Yin had a Chrono Crystal, and right now Guan Yin looks like they may have lost that Chrono Crystal. It is turn 13, and people are hanging on as stubbornly as possible. Okay, now, what if you get that Nero shop a turn ago, right? Maybe you go for it.
Yeah.
What do you do now? Nero puts a lot of numbers on the board real fast, but we don't have anything that actually catches those stats.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the stage to me where it feels like even when you find things that look like they make sense, it feels like they're a little too late. But it also feels like it's too late to continue down the path we're in. Maybe something like a treasure hamster can lead us into a treasure that can
That
take
Daedalus
us
might be
where we
pretty
want to
good
be.
too. Getting 2 level 5 treasures and then getting the extra treasure slot. I like the look of both. You could talk me into treasure hamster or Daedalus here, I think.
Yeah,
However,
I'm
we
with
don't get
you.
the treasure this turn. We're out of money.
Yeah. But I do think maybe treasures help us out a ton here when we're what I think to be struggling to figure out where we want to go with this. And as you talked about the Guan Yin now on very, very low health, possibly from a Chrono Crystal already procking, every placement is going to matter for these players. They're accumulating points based on where they finish in this lobby. They're trying to get to 19 points total to become live. So every placement that you can increase is going to help you become live even sooner. So every turn matters. And for both players, right? Give free roll back. Trying to knock the player out. We'll see if we can do that. It doesn't feel like we got a whole lot stronger, though. And it feels that's the case over a couple of turns now.
Just wonder what the mental math going on in get free rollback's head is right now. You're seeing a big Hermes on the Guanyin board. We know that's going to come in and that's going to take something out. We got no way to stop it from doing Hermes things. So a lot of decision making here and just leaving this decision all the way until the last possible moment. Maybe saving Toy Dino and going to flip into the different hero at the start of next turn.
Okay, and into the combat. That's Kasab with the large Hermes, which has flying as well. The chair, the back protector, does not actually take damage from Succubus, so the Succubus effect is nullified. And we're not trading very well into those big numbers.
Well, when we lose both of our high demons to start the combat, all of our stats start to melt, and we take a big hit here.
That was a massive amount of damage, all the way down to 13 from 27. That's
Flying
so much
Hermes,
damage.
I don't think anything could have countered us better right now, with as
Yeah.
much as those high demons are needed for this board to fight.
Yeah, you're right. There's a Dr. Frank on that board that we're scouting. It looks like we are going to go with Treasure Hamster and hope that we can get some treasures. But
We can find some pairs.
Huh.
Do you? Well, I think you Grimm's Twist of 5 in the shop maybe there, and hope it hits Nocturne or.
Was that a Yuck the Yak originally that turned into a Horse Thief?
That was the Yuck the Yak is now a Horse Thief.
Okay, I thought it was. I just wanted to make sure. It just seems so appropriate. Wait a minute. Wait. Not the Horse Thief. Not okay. There.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we got four health. Is it's worth it. Can be quite useful. Now it's going to be really hard to make our. I was hoping we'd make a treasure this turn. We need something impactful. We're over here doing the best we can with some small things, and there's an Archdemon. You want to talk about impact? We've taken a little bit of damage now. That actually should be buffing the board a little bit. So Archdemon still has the effect where it creates Demon Harbingers when evil characters die. So it'll make its 3 Demon Harbinger summons. However, and I'm sorry, I'm thinking about it incorrectly. The effect isn't what I thought. No, it's just now Archdemon also buffs demons with an aura, gives everybody a 1/1 buff.
So we did gain some health that turn, which I think was a big deal. We lost 1 point of that health when we pick up the Archdemon. However, that health does feel relevant potentially. 13 health gets down to the point where it feels like one bad loss could be the end of your journey in this lobby. 16 health feels a little safer, I would say.
Yeah, with 20 being the max for damage you could receive. Yeah, 16 does feel like no one should take me out unexpectedly right now. And wow, now the lobby health is really starting to dwindle. We're actually looking fairly healthy by comparison to most.
Well, we are, however, facing the first place player in the lobby now that we got knocked off of that. And they have a combo of heroes now, one of those being Aladdin. And Aladdin can be quite strong when you add it as a